good morning, Jill. Hope you're doing well. We had the Trump announcement last night, which you would have known about, which you hopefully should have known about. A lot of Twitter on X, they were saying it was going to be like a de-escalation message, but it was the opposite. And he was saying to tell the world that the conflict is going to probably last a little bit longer than anticipated. Like it would go on to 4 to 5 weeks. So that's actually quite risk off. And it doesn't really help because what's happened is that the crowd are starting to buy that dip, which really doesn't help. Okay, if they're going to buy the dip, there's going to have to be a large entity to take the other side of that trade. So if you think about 100 million traders, which there are retail traders, there's a lot of them in the world, there's going to have to be an entity to take that transaction. So if they're buying, the entity has to sell. Okay, and that entity doesn't really want to sell indices, right? It wants to be buying, and that's where the media comes in. So a little bit of a note to self with me, because I had a gold sell order, but what happened is that my trading stop was too tight, and what happened on these wicks, it got me out, and it didn't allow me to really profit. I made a tiny amount of profit, however it was a little bit too tight, and we can see we really fell. We had a 2% move and then a 3% dump. So it's a lot to do with luck. It's also to do with skill, and it's also a lot to do with your risk management as well. Orders are really, really good. This is that was a good example of a sell order. You're just waiting for price to come back in. There was my stop, but my trading stop was too tight, and I could have let it run and it would have been a really nice profit. And like I said in that video last week, you can make a couple of £100 or dollar with a really, really small size, as long as you know you exit. You know, that's quite an okay exit. It's not too wide. That's quite manageable. And then you're looking to get a good risk to reward. So my trading stop was too tight. So this is what I'll need to do today, tomorrow. I need to configure that and widen the trading stop step, so it gives it a little bit more room. It was a little bit too tight, and what happened is that wick got me out. So that's really annoying. So let's look at yesterday's trade setup, and what had happened is that it was an order to sell down here, but it might get filled, but it was to sell at that break and we didn't get it, and now it doesn't qualify because we come to the bubbles. It doesn't qualify now, but what does qualify is pound CAD. Okay, so we can come back to the trading view, go to pound CAD, and there's the pound CAD, right? So that would have been a trade set up you could have taken had you have woken up earlier. Now that's obviously the caveat, because where you are in the world, for me, 8 o'clock morning, you may be asleep, well you will be asleep in the US, and you would have called it if you were in Asia. So there's a good example of it working, but you need to wake up earlier, or you need to adjust yourself to the open, the FX open. So there's the pound CAD. So it would have been in profit, and it looks like we're going to get a 3.44R. Okay, so just an example how to trade the bubbles, but you need to work around how the timings and how the FX Open works, because we've already had the move now. We could enter now, but there's a good chance of it probably going to it might retrace now. So get an earlier entry with the bubbles, and that's a big thumbs up. Okay, so there's the pound CAD. So that's that. So that's the trade setup. That would have been, had we have woken up earlier. But I'm not going to adjust my schedule. I'm not going to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't. It's just I won't have a life, and it's important to have a life. You can't be stuck to your screen all the time. But there's that move at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that would have coincided with that deviation on the bubbles. So let's look at the Discord. And what's happening with the indices is that what happened is that they'd gone long, and we see the reaction and price. Okay, so what might happen with DAX is that they're looking to potentially sell, so that's good. Okay, if they sell it, this is going to be a legit move here. If the move higher will be real, okay. Now we have to remember the DAX is kind of like in isolation, because on the US they're going very YOLO, right, and they're really going aggressively bullish. If they do, they're going to get squished. Well, they should get squished, okay. And then the US 500, and obviously they look what happened. You know, they shorted it and then they went long. So there we go. And then there's gold, and then we can wrap up the video. And hopefully they are insightful. And the reason for us to be careful is basically it's this risk calc. We're going to fluctuate between them being net long, net short, net long, net short, and then it'll just go back and forth until the crowd gets squished. It's really important. They cannot be buying. If they buy, it's going to be bad. Okay, I come back to the Discord, and there's gold. So here, you know, they're shorted, right? And no way is that a coincidence. So this, in a way, it kind of mocks fundamental analysis in a way, because gold is supposed to be like a safe haven, but we're rallying with the S&P, we're rallying with the Dow, and then when the Dow and the DAX and the Nasdaq, when they fall, gold falls. So really, where does it sit fundamentally, and why does it move? I think it moves from the sentiment, but you know, I could be wrong. And obviously it would have coincided with the US yields pumping, because they would have been pumping after Trump's announcement, and so we'd fallen, and it just coincided with them going long. So is it a coincidence? You have to decide. So there's the video today. Pound CAD is probably going to be fine, but obviously it was a little bit late. But like I say, I'm not going to wake up 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I could do, but it'd be like a huge, humongous change, and I don't know, it would be worth it monetarily, but on my personal view is that I would lose, you know, all that social stuff. So that's that. So that's the video today. Trade safely, and if you've got any questions and you want to join, let us know. And don't forget, the copy trading is going incredibly well, and we're getting a 1% entry exit rule, and if we hit the profit or loss, we're done for the week, and then we resume on Monday. So far we've had 9 weeks of profit, okay, which is fantastic. So if you want to join the copy trading, just let me know, send me a message, and I'll speak to you guys soon.